Hello guys, so I was bored so I decided to show one of my pens. This is the Jinhao x159. I got it a couple months ago and it's impressed me a little bit so far, so I decided to share it with you guys. So I got it for $7 from eBay. I know you can probably get it for cheaper, and it's available for about 14 bucks from Amazon, I think. And it's definitely one of the more popular Chinese pens right now because it's a plastic version of the Jinhao 159, which is already a pretty popular pen, and the plastic makes it lighter. So it's as a $7 pen, it's definitely not like the most well-made pen, but it's pretty sturdy. It's an injection molded plastic pen, and it is a cartridge converter pen. So the threads, this area is metal, which feels pretty nice. Although the threads are a little rattly, but they're not like crazy. And so that it's a cartridge converter pen. The converter is pretty big. It's definitely bigger than a Pilot Con 40. Let me see if I got. Okay, so this is the Pilot Con 40. Let's put them side by side. Let's open it up real quick. This could be a little risky, but alright. This is the Jinhao converter. And this is the Pilot Con 40. So, it's definitely a bigger ink capacity than the Con 40. I would say it's about 1.75 times. So it's a pretty good converter. And the times I have filled it, it's worked every time. And it hasn't burped everywhere like some cheap pens I have had. So the nib is not a standard size, it's not number 6, it's a little bigger. So it's like a bit of a number 8 nib. It's definitely, I don't have a Mont Blanc, but it is a, so if you can see, it's slightly bigger than this guy. I just put them side by side so you can see. Slightly bigger. So yeah, and if I didn't mention, this is definitely a homage or a clone of the Mont Blanc 149, although it is not a piston filler. So, yeah, pretty decent construction. Silver trim. The clip is straight, although one issue I had on my pen, my particular pen, is that the so it's a twisting cap, right? Twist to pull off, but sometimes the cap wasn't glued together properly on my pen, so sometimes the cap, this top thing on the cap will become loose, and it's kind of annoying. That happens maybe like 10% of the time. And it's a $7 pen. Oops. It's a $7 pen, so who cares? And one other note I had on the build that it's kind of bad is, so the converter actually isn't straight. It's hard to tell on video, but it's not straight. It doesn't fit straight on the pen. I don't know if that's an issue with the converter or the way the pen was built, so that's kind of annoying. But overall, pretty decent. So I have Camlin blue on this pen. Let me just put this one away real quick. So I have Camlin blue in this pen. It's already inked, but I will just show you how it feels because why not? So we open up. I know this will trigger some people, but I do not care. I'm just going to dump the ink back into here. It's a 20-cent ink, so who cares? From India. So we fill it up real quick. And then let me just grab a tissue real quick so that we can dab it out. Okay. Wipe it down before I get ink all over my hands. So it's already on my hands, but we'll try to mitigate the risk of that. Okay. And as I said previously, it's a twisting converter. Converter pulls right out. It comes with the pen, and you can get the dimensions of the pen online. I will compare it real quick to some other popular pens so you can get an idea of the size of the pen. So here's the Jinhao x159. Here is a Pilot Explorer. Just put those right next to each other. Here is a Wing Sung 699, so roughly the size of a custom 823. And here is a TWSBI Eco and a Pilot Vanishing Point Decimo. So you can see they're all kind of similar size. However, the Jinhao is way thicker than all of them, so has that going for it. So now let's write with this pen, Jinhao x159. This is in the fine nib. That's the only one I believe they have available. But so quick. So it's definitely it's smooth. It's not scratchy. However, there is some feedback, but it works. It doesn't hard start. Like I've heard some of those like $400 pens, they will not write properly. And this one writes properly. It starts every time. It's reliable. So let's see how the flow of it is. So it's decent. Maybe not the world's wettest ink flow, but it is enough to get the job done. And then I don't want to flex the pen obviously, but we can see how it flows. So it seems to be keeping up decently, no skipping. And then let's see if it writes on its own pressure. It does, so that means the flow is pretty good. And then last, before we go, I'm just going to compare it to some, so you can see the line size and see how thick the line is compared to some other pens. This is a TWSBI Eco Broad. Definitely a really thick line. And then this is the Jinhao x159. So that line is pretty thin compared to the TWSBI Eco. And then let's see let's just take out the Pilot Vanishing Point. This is a medium Pilot Vanishing Point. That's a slightly thicker than this. That's slightly thicker than the Jinhao. And then last, so definitely this pen is not it's wider than your average fine nib, but it is slightly thinner than your average medium nib, because I would say this Decimo is a Western medium and this is slightly thinner than that. So maybe like a Western medium fine I would classify this as. So overall, it's a pretty good pen. So I would rate the value at 5 stars value. The build quality I will rate at 3 stars. The looks I will rate at 4 stars. This is just a classic design. It might get up to 4.5 if you can get a gold trim model. I'm going to say looks. And then last, let's say the writing experience, I'm going to put 4 stars. Let's say 3.5 stars. Because you can get some pretty smooth pens. So if we add that up, we get 8, 12, 15, 15.5 out of 20 would be my rating for this Jinhao x159. So overall pretty good. Yeah, I would recommend it for the $7 you pay. If you're buying it from Amazon, I wouldn't, honestly, for $14 I wouldn't buy this pen, simply because you can get better pens. That's like in the Pilot Metropolitan territory, which is definitely a better pen than this. But for $7 you cannot complain. And I got mine, it took like 2 weeks from China. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.